One of my favorite quotes is by Nelson Mandela. He said, I'm either winning or learning. So there is no losing. So why not try?
Welcome back to another episode of Unexpectedly Successful, the show. And I am totally honored and privileged to bring to you this wonderful guest speaker. And I'll tell you a little bit of her background. She is a master life coach who trains the coaches who are going to coach you and me. So that's her business. She is also a published author of multiple books. She has a blog. She has a talk show. She has a Roku channel. She organizes events. And if that was not enough, she also pastors along her husband. It is my honor to introduce you to Mechelle Kennedy, our master life coach. Mechelle, welcome to Unexpectedly Successful. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. It is always an honor and a privilege to be a part of anything, especially when it comes to being able to share a story that's going to be transformational to others who listen.
Yes, yes. And Coach Mechelle, this is the podcast for the raw and genuine stories of women business owners. And I am totally excited to share your life story that led to your business. So let's get started.
Okay.
Coach Mechelle, what is it to be Coach Mechelle for you?
It is a joy. And I think it's a joy because I spent many years not really being me. Because I've always been bubbly, I always had a big aura, I always had a big energy, as we say. And for many
Yes.
years, I tried not to have that because it seemed to make other people uncomfortable. But at this point, find you somewhere else to go because I'm going to be me.
I love it. I love it. You're going to be Joy. And if you don't like it, find somewhere else to be. I love it. For my audience, if you want to be Joy and people around you are uncomfortable, tell them to find a different place and be you. I love it. I mean, we're starting with gems already. So, Coach Mechelle, what are you most proud about as a business owner?
I think one of the things I'm most proud about is when I launched my life coach certification course, my goal was in 5 years, I'm going to certify 100 coaches. But actually, I started in 2019, and by 2022, I had already certified 106 coaches. So I far exceeded the expectation.
So you established your coaching business for coaches in 2019, and by 2022, so 3 years later, you had already coached 100 coaches.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. So what does that mean to you, Coach Mechelle? Like, why does that make you proud as a business owner?
Because I was able to impact the people who impact the people. So that means everybody, their hands touch, my hands touch. One of the
Wow.
things I also pride myself on is being an educator. I didn't buy a curriculum, I built a coaching curriculum.
Ooh.
And it is a 21-week, very intense curriculum. 21
Wow.
weeks, very intense. And so being able to certify over 100 coaches, this isn't just them watching videos. This is me teaching class after class after class of I think one of my classes one time was 20 coaches. I had to split the
Wow.
class because it was
Wow.
large. Yep.
So, Coach Mechelle, who comes to your certification? Like, tell me your best student and why. What makes them your best student for your coaching business?
So I'm called to people who are hungry.
Awesome.
And my mantra is hungry people come eat, and when they're full, they leave.
Yes.
and be okay
Awesome.
with them leaving. So I think one of the things I'm most proud of, like, I can't even really name like one particular coach, but I have had coaches to thrive and do so many things. And being in the room, seeing multiple coaches, it is always such an honor. Sometimes I feel like a mother, and those are my babies, and
Yes.
babies are grown, and I'm like, just go on about yourself. And so people who are hungry, like, you got to be ready, you got to be open, because we teach you how to coach you first before we teach you how to coach others. So we go through a 5-week boot camp. Those are assessments that you are
Mm,
taking that's going to start the journey to your self-awareness. One of them is we do a 50 question core belief workbook. That's the one that
wow.
takes everybody out. They're usually they have an attitude with me the entire class because of that workbook. Uh,
Wow.
but it asks questions that cause you to really just sit and be like it asks you things like, what's in your life that you're avoiding that you really need to deal with? Like, what kind of
Mm,
legacy are you going to leave for your children? So it asks you those gut wrenching questions that make you sit and you're like, oh. Um,
wow.
and so they do that for 5 weeks, and then I have a course. So in the coaching world, they call me Miss Get You Together, because
Miss Get You Together.
so because of the way I coach, and for Miss Get You Together, like, truth without love is brutality. That's one of the things I
Mm,
say. And so you go through a 5-week course that we name Get Your Life. We do an assessment titled Where Did It Come From? Well, we look at your top 3 struggles, your mom and your dad's top 3 struggles, to help
mm.
you identify where it came from. We go through mom and daddy issues, abandonment and rejection, self sabotage, managing self trauma, managing your trauma while coaching others. These are the things we take them through
Oh my
right
God.
the gate.
I
Before
feel sorry for these coaches, but then they got transformed after that.
And what we call it is the embrace you moment. Like that
Yes.
moment that everything starts to line up. Yeah.
That sounds intense, Coach
Very,
Michelle.
very.
But okay, so thinking through, like, just as you were going through some of those questions, right? In my own journey in growth and self-awareness, these have been questions, right? Hard questions. But the thing is, if we don't ask the question, that doesn't mean that the issue is gonna go away. We're just ignoring it.
Yep.
So the sooner we embrace me, the sooner we go through that challenge and be on the other side.
Which is why the name of the company is Embrace You.
Embrace you. That's right. Total full circle. So, Coach Michelle, this sounds like an amazing coaching program. What led to that point and the richness of that program? You mentioned that you are an educator, that you're like a mother to these coaches that then they grow to do their own thing. But you as a person, what pieces of your story have led to that moment?
So I went through a coaching certification in 2016. And when I went through the coaching certification, um, there were components that I felt like I really needed to prepare me properly for the program. So
Okay.
being an educator, when I was in my master coaching certification, I literally sat down and I wrote out a curriculum, and I included things in that curriculum I felt would have made me better prepared.
Mm,
So my aim in life, Miles Monroe said we should be able to sum our life up in one sentence. And mine is, I was created to be to others what no one was to me. So in my life,
wow.
I go through, I do things, and I document it. I build out the process so that I can then teach others how to do it. And one funny thing is, when I was in college, my professor, he said, "You make good money doing events." I was like, "Yeah, I do pretty good." And he was like, "Yeah, but you'll make more money teaching people how to do events." And
Nice.
that thing was like, pow, pow, pow. I was like, "What?" So from there on, everything that I do, I want to figure out, how do I teach others to do this? Because that's where the real money is.
Wow. Wow. That was a moment of insight for the rest of your professional
Mhm.
life. Wow.
Yes.
So, Coach Mechelle, you said your one sentence is to be to others what no one was to you. Can you
Yes.
dig deeper into that, please?
Yes.
What's your life story that led to that sentence?
So when I've always been a trailblazer, I've always been a birther, I've always been a starter, even going back to being a cheerleader for a Pop Warner team, always being not afraid to be the first. So
Yes.
that has really been the pattern in my life. Like I go through things. When I went through my divorce, I went through it alone. No matter how much family I had, like I was alone. And I said, you know, if I make it out of this, if I meet somebody who's going through it, I'm going to be there for them.
Mm.
That was my moment. And that has been the tale of my life. When I went through the coaching certification, I went through, and all the things that I felt like I needed, I included. So when I started certifying people, I was able to give them components that I did not get. When I was starting my show, the network I'm on was a new network, so we had no guidelines, we had no information. So I went through and did a lot of things on trial and error, able to build a successful show. My show is 2.5 years now. My
Congratulations, Coach Michelle.
my viewer base on an average is between 11 and 14,000 a week. So, but no one showed me how to do that. So now,
Wow.
as a channel owner of Coachella TV, I now get the opportunity to teach other coaches how to successfully build a show.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So you've mentioned the coaching, the coaches, then you mentioned the show and the network, and this is an amazing number of, I mean, 2.5 years for 11 and 12, 14,000 views a week.
Yes.
That's major. I mean, that's major on its own. And then you also talked about organizing events. So tell us the sequence of events of you becoming a business owner. What came first and how did you get to it?
My dad was a serial entrepreneur. I
Tell
did
us about that.
Did I never knew, I didn't know what that was. My dad was a serial entrepreneur. My dad owned a stove. My dad did pumping well. He did sprinkler systems. We owned a florist at one time because one of my brothers was a florist. We had a game room in the middle of our house because the way my house growing up was, my parents' bedroom was here. There was like a living room, and then it was the rest of the house. But this middle part had a door. My dad turned that into a neighborhood game room where the kids would come in. They would play games. It was a safe place for the neighborhood. One place we had a Coke machine that sat outside our house.
I love it.
So my dad
I
was
love
a
it.
real entrepreneur, and it is his fault. It really is.
We can
So
blame dad for all the brightness you have.
yes, absolutely. So 2004, me and my ex-husband, we did not have a wedding. So at 10 years, we decided to renew our vows. And I went through the process of doing our wedding. So I've always been an organizer, always been a builder, always been the one to set things up. But this was the first time I had done a wedding by myself. It
Wow.
was excruciating.
Your own wedding. Oh my God.
It was painful. It was excruciating.
I
But I
can imagine.
learned so much by going through the process. One of the things my dad used to say, now my dad couldn't read or write, but he was he was a principle person. So he taught me principles. And one of the
Mm.
things he would say, if you want to get found, get lost. So I end up learning a lot of things by being lost. And that's what happened with the wedding. After that wedding, I said, you know what? I don't ever want a bride to have to go through what I went through. So I think I'm gonna
Mm.
start a event planning company and do weddings. So literally, even going back then, I was trying to be to somebody what no one was
What
to
you did
me.
not have. Oh
Yep.
my God. So
Yep.
that's almost 20 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. So that was your initial business,
Mm-hmm. That was
your
my
own
first business.
experience planning your own wedding and going through the struggles and then saying, I want to be for someone that just
Yep.
went that could go through the same struggle and prevent them from that.
Yes.
Wow. And then what happened? So you launched you had your wedding, then you
Mm-hmm.
said that moment, I'm going to be that person to help others. And then what happened? How did the business actually get started?
So it took off, like literally it took off. Like I was booked year after year after year. And I didn't only do weddings, like I did weddings, I did parties, I did events. I would be a concierge to families who were planning funerals.
Ooh.
I planned sweet 16s. I've planned church conferences. I've planned corporate events. I used to work for one of the Fortune 500 banks, and in my department I did all the planning in my department. So I
Wow.
planned events for five or six all the way up to thousand church conferences, retreats, like anything that requires having steps and plans. Yeah, I would do that.
Wow. So
All
you
while
did,
working my full-time job.
that was going to ask. So you had this business going, which sounds like it was a full time
Yes,
job while you were doing your corporate job.
yes. Always up until 2 years ago. And believe it or not, I never had a desire to be a full-time entrepreneur.
Oh, what? What?
Nope.
So
I've
tell us
always
about it.
I've always been someone who was able to manage time on a supernatural level because I will get more things done in a 24-hour period than anybody I know. So I've always been able to manage. I've always been able to do multiple things at the same time that generally had nothing to do with each other. I now know that that's called a multi-potentialite, which is someone who
Mhm.
has the ability to pull multiple disciplines and bridge them together to create something new. So I literally have
Multi
always
potential.
multi-potentialite.
Light. Okay. All right. So because of this gift,
Yeah.
you were able to manage your full time job, your full time
Yes.
side hustle, which it was a full time business.
Yes.
And then what happened? What made you decide to switch to full time then? If you did not desire it,
It was the Lord.
tell us about it.
So my coaching organization, like it's fully established. I have a staff, I have a governing board, and the governing board, they was like, okay, we really think that it's time for you to come off your job because I was certifying year round. And I was like, I'm not coming off my job. It's easy. I do what I want to do on that job. That I mean, they were trying to promote me, like they were creating positions to promote me, and I was denying the position. I was like,
Yes.
I'm good with what I do. And so in 2021, during the pandemic, my job offered, they allowed me to do a flex schedule. Like I literally created my own schedule. I would work Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were the days I chose I wanted to work. And and so for like 3 months they allowed me to do that. And then they started offering 12-week sabbaticals, and during the 12-week sabbatical they would pay you 25% of your salary. And so I told my husband, I said, I think I want to try the sabbatical. So I went to my manager and she was like, we do that? I'm like, yeah, because I always got to teach people how to service me. So I done printed the document and submitted it to her and taught her how to go in to approve my sabbatical.
How
So, and
funny
because I taught her how to approve my sabbatical, then other people in my department was then able to get a
to
sabbatical.
do
So,
it. So, okay, so just recapping, you worked flex work
yes.
Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, and during that time, you worked your 40-hour work. Okay, so we go back to that multi potential light
Yes. Yes.
because I mean,
And
amazing.
I, yep. And I worked for, I was a fraud analyst. So I was
Wow.
so and that was like it was really an intense job. But when I started in that department, it was only 12 people. When I left, it was like 700. So most of the people in the department I trained to do the work. So uh
Wow.
yeah. So
Okay,
then
but so
I did the
before you
sabbatical.
go in, okay, so what made you take the sabbatical though? Were you like considering at that point? Were you just wanting a break? What made you think of a sabbatical?
So it really fell in my spirit
Okay.
to try the sabbatical. And
Okay.
to me, this was a safe way for me to try full-time entrepreneurship.
Oh,
So I
wow.
was like, well, I guess I can try this because this will be me riding a bicycle with training wheels on.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, so and I did that for 12 weeks. And in that 12 weeks I was able to keep all benefits. They still paid me 25% of my salary. And the company I worked for offered this during the pandemic so they didn't have to furlough anyone.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was doing them a favor by taking this sabbatical.
Yes, you're welcome, company. So what happened?
So when I got ready to take my sabbatical, my supervisor said, "You ain't coming back, is you?" I said, "You sound like you scared." I said, "Yeah, I'm coming back. I love my job." So I'm going in and I'm working and I'm enjoying, full time entrepreneur. So I remember I was sitting and I was watching one of Pastor Michael Todd's messages. And in the message, I don't even remember what the message was about, but he said, it's time for you to burn up your plan B.
Uh-oh.
That's,
He was talking to you.
me. I was like, who is he talking to? I was
Oh,
like,
wow. Talk about talking to you.
I was like, now I wasn't nobody in the house with me. I'm like, who is he talking to? So I be trying to use my husband as the litmus test to be like, let me see if that was really God. I'm gonna ask my husband.
Let me see. I don't know that I heard clearly enough.
So I started this text message, and as I'm texting him, he calls. I looked down at the phone. I was like, "You really got jokes."
Oh my God. What did he say?
I answered the phone. I was like, "Hello." He was like, "You okay?" I was like, "I'm not."
So what was going on with you at that moment where you were, what was it?
I didn't want to leave my job.
You were fighting it?
Like when I say I loved my job, like
Ah,
I look, so Saturdays have always been a part of my work day because I would work a Tuesday through Saturday so I could have Mondays to reset. So,
Yes.
like if I had something to do on a Saturday, I would just tell my boss, I'm gonna log in and I'm gonna work from 6 a.m. to 9. I'm gonna leave and go teach a workshop. I'll be back at 2 and then I'll work the rest of my schedule. Or her boss would message me and be like, hey, we need some coverage Sunday night. My husband works Sunday night. So I would be like, okay, so I would log on and work from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight to when my husband got off, and then I would just take the time off sometime during the week so I could go and do it. Like
Wow.
I never had to miss anything. I
Wow.
had been with the company so long. I got 5 weeks of vacation. I bought a week of
Wow.
vacation. We got angel days. They gave us volunteer days.
Oh my God, it was a really nice benefit package right there.
Listen, I was, and because my husband he works for Department of Defense, he covers our insurance, so I was able to I was dumping money into my 401k. And they were matching it, and I was vested. So,
Oh my God. It was a nice deal. I see why you wouldn't go.
yes. So
And then?
my husband, I answered the phone, and he said, what's wrong? I said, the Lord just told me to burn up my plan B. And he said, I've been waiting on you.
Wow. Wow.
I was like,
Really?
no.
Really? Is that your answer, husband?
Like, you're supposed to be the one that said no. So I can say, God, I can't do it because my husband said no.
You wanted a reason.
And he always be in agreement with God. I'd be like, it's your friends because you always in agreement with him. So my boss nearing the end, and this wasn't even at the end, this was like in the middle. So I had like 6 weeks that I knew.
To go
Yeah.
before.
So my boss messaged me and she was like, you're scheduled to come back on the 28th. She said, but you got a couple of days because I went in and started just putting in vacation time.
Mm.
Even at the end of my sabbatical, because again, I had 5 weeks of vacation. And I was
Mm.
a worker. Like I didn't take time off.
Yes.
I would just say, hey, I need 2 hours and then I'm gonna log back in. So
Yes.
I I messaged her and I was like, "Hey, can we talk?"
Uh-oh.
She already knew, and so when her boss was talking to her about the number of people who were out on sabbatical, she told her boss, she was like, "Michelle's not coming back," and she was like, "What do you
Mm.
mean Michelle isn't coming back? Like, why would Michelle? What do we need to
Wow.
do to get her back?" She was like,
Wow.
she ain't coming back. She was like, she's certifying coaches. She pastoring the church and baking cakes. And so her boss was like, and why did I not know she did any of this?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, what a moment. And I'm gonna circle back there. But okay, just for my audience to get the timeline straight. You mentioned baking cakes, and offline we talked about you using baking cakes as a strategy. So
Yes.
can you please help us remember why you got into baking cakes?
So I believe that every gift God has given you that you should be working at.
I love it.
And I started baking 2016. And even though baking, I never want to own a bakery. That's just not what I want to do. But I use baking cakes to pay for my life coaching certification. It paid for the publishing of my first book. It paid for me ordering my first batch of books. So even though baking is never the end, it was a means to an end. So I believe we should use everything that the Lord has given us because we should be using our gifts to make profit.
Let me get the date straight. You said in 2004 you started your event planning business. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
2016 you started baking to pay for
Mm-hmm.
your certification. So you started coaching coaches in 2016.
And I wrote my
And
first book in 2016.
okay, tell us about your book. You're like an onion, so many layers to your
Yes.
business journey. Wow. So 2016 you wrote your own book. Tell us
Yes.
about it.
So my first book is titled Frozen. And I was writing one day and I heard the Lord say, you wonder why you see women who are 40 who are still acting like children. And I'm like, okay. And he said, it's because mentally they're frozen at the point of trauma.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh wow.
So the book is titled Frozen. The 3 A's to my journey to forgiveness. So in there, I talk about a 4 year period when I was living in Valdosta. My daughter was sexually assaulted and she was pregnant at 13. We were excommunicated out of the church.
You were? Your whole family?
Yes.
Because of life circumstances?
big, big, because of the situation. It is so hilarious because
Now it is hilarious. I am sure it was not at that point.
it wasn't. I wanted to fight, but it was so like they literally went to the city and signed trespassing papers. Like we were not able to
Oh
come
my God.
on church property. So
Oh
and I talk
wow.
about that in there. I talk about my divorce. I talk about finding myself. I talk about how I learned to forgive through the coaching tool, the 3 A's.
Wow.
And the 3 A's are accept, acknowledge, and adjust. And it'll help you from,
Okay, just let me repeat. Accept,
mhm,
acknowledge, and adjust.
yes, it'll help you get unfrozen.
Wow. 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 So, how many books you have now? Can I can I
Six.
help you?
Six. So I have six.
6 books.
Yes. Um, I have Frozen. I co-authored a book titled Overcoming Toxic Relationships. Um, I co-authored a compilation, 365 days to positive something. Um, I wrote a 21-day journey to self-love, which is a workbook journey. Um, I did a 20-day 100 affirmation journey
Wow.
where you do 100 affirmations in 20 days. I've done, I'm missing something. It's bad when you wrote so many you forget them.
Wow, when you forget your books, I mean, that's a good place to be, but
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and Frozen was the only one that was published by a publishing company. And after I went through the process of publishing that book, the publisher then became my mentor and taught
mm,
me and set me up to publish books. So everything else that I wrote, I published. And she gave me the publishing rights back to Frozen.
oh wow.
So I'm thinking about doing either a part two or a revised version. Oh, I know what the other one is. So the 21 Days to Self Love, I did a revision to it this year.
Mm,
And I did a revision and I took the because the way it's set up is it's 21 different stories about my life that lead you through
mm,
this journey of self-love. So I took it and I compiled it so that you can do it as a 5-week workbook. So
Wow.
you can do it either as a 21-day journey or a 5-week workbook to self-love.
Oh, how awesome. I
And
mean,
I've
super practical, right?
sold thousands. And the way it's set up is like you have a story, there is a journal exercise, then there is a self-love exercise that you do. And there are so many different things. Like I created a assessment called a self-management wheel, where it takes you through 8 areas to see how well you manage them to help you start becoming a better manager of your life. Like I
Yes.
don't think that there's money management. I don't think that there's time management. It's all self management.
Wow. Wow. Okay,
Yes.
Coach Michelle, I, I'm s- I'm so amazed by the multitude of things that you have done in your life and the level of depth that each one of those initiatives have. I'm just amazed from your previous statement about you believing that every gift that we have from God is for us to deploy and serve others and make a profit in the doing. What would you tell our listeners who say, I'm really good at organizing classes, I'm amazing at, I don't know, organizing birthday parties, like all these things that we do on a daily basis, yet we don't see the value because we cannot recognize it. We see it as normal. What would you give a hack for my audience to recognize their gifts and talents?
The first thing I tell people is we don't serve a limited God, and we're created in his image, so we are not limited.
Mm-hmm.
People will say, "Oh, pick the one thing you're good at," because this was somebody said, "Pick the one thing you're good at and be good at that." I've never been able to do one thing. The person I am, I literally have always been, and everything that I'm good at. I believe that. So the Lord, He strategically leads us through a path of what we need to be doing right now.
Mm.
So even though I have a plethora of gifts right now, I'm utilizing what he's leading me to utilize. So with our baking,
Awesome.
we haven't been promoting, but it's coming up to Thanksgiving. So now we've been promoting. So now we
Yes.
got a plethora of Thanksgiving orders. Right after Thanksgiving, we promote some more. Then we do Christmas orders. After that, we do New Year's orders. And then we stop. We
Mm-hmm.
have our repeat customers who will be
Mm.
like, "Hey, I want a cake," and we'll do those. But that's not something we need to be doing all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
whatever it is, like take the limits off of God. So
Mm.
even in the life coaching arena, so we've certified a lot of life coaches. So now we've created two more certifications. One is a practitioner's course where we certify coaches to practice coaching because so many
Yes.
people get certified and don't know what to do with it. So we take them
Yes.
through a 13-week course that gets them started in business. Pastors,
Awesome.
the Lord said to me, He says, time to take coaching to the church.
Whoa.
So I have created a 12-week course that teaches pastors how to incorporate coaching into their ministries. So I moved from certifying coaches to now certifying pastors and practitioners. Always be willing to go where the Lord is sending you.
Wow.
I heard the Lord say some time ago, He said, "Don't sit by dry brooks."
Mm. Mm.
So if it's not flowing, because it's what we do should never be
Mm.
different. And if the river's not flowing that way, find where it's flowing.
Mm, wow. Instead of us being like wanting to force something and
Yeah.
then maybe avoiding or ignoring where it could be flowing, that we're not spending time there, right?
Yes, because Dr. Darius recently said in Thrive, he said sometimes finish feels like failure.
Mm, wow. So
Yep.
if I'm called to finish an initiative, it may feel like failure.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm close to fold a
Yep.
business, it may feel like failure.
Yep. Yep.
But like you said, it the timing, the now, right?
Yep.
And if we don't close a door, a new door may not open.
It won't open. So the end of last year, the Lord said to me, I want you to do less so I can do more. He
Wow.
said, give me a year. I have standard events that I do every year. Like this would have been year 7 for at least 4 events that I do every year. 3 events that I do every, no, 4 events that I do every year. Um, and I did not do those events.
You said no.
My speaking calendar is normally so busy, and I stopped. I didn't take any my first speaking engagement was in June of this year.
Okay, you hadn't told us that you are a public speaker.
And
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my God. For my audience, I want you to soak in this moment because Coach Mechelle is evidence that there are no limits. If we take off those limits from our own minds and allow God to work through our gifts and talents. And one of those gifts and talents is our self management, our time management, right? Oh my God, Coach Mechelle, I'm amazed. Seriously, I am amazed of the layers of initiatives you have and things that you do. So finish the parenthesis of my comment. So you took a year of less for God to
yes,
do more. So what
yes.
do you do during that year?
He took me on a inner child healing journey.
Wow.
It was excruciating at times. I'm very spirit led, and I'm one of those persons that the Lord has shown me enough time. I trust His history that if He says do it, I'm going to do it just like He said do it because it has never not worked. So he said do less so I could do more. He did an inner child healing. I went back to therapy. I got into coaching. I dove very deep into the den. I started connecting to den mates, and all of these things. But I was in a season that I have nothing to give.
Mm,
So in that season, the Lord started digging up some stuff. I heard Dr. Darius say last year, just because it hurt doesn't mean it's healed. And
mm,
that thing hit me. So I went through um like digging deep into the molestation I experienced,
mm.
the rejection I experienced, because that was my catalyst,
Wow.
was rejection. And 8 months in is when the Lord said, when I said do less so I could do more, it wasn't to do more for you, it was to do
Mm,
more in you.
mm.
And He said, I had to kill it on this level because where I'm taking you, it would kill you.
Wow.
Yes.
So what's to come for Coach Mechelle and her multifaceted business?
So it is everything Coachella TV. So
Wow. Tell us about Coachella TV.
I went from having a show, one show, to having
Yes.
a channel that offers 24/7 programming. And I offer it in 30-minute intervals. So that means every day I can allow 48 content creators a space on TV.
Wow. That's a lot of content.
It is. So there's
Wow.
so much opportunity. And with Coachella, it is our tagline is where inspiration meets action. So
Yes.
we have been inspired a lot. It's time to take action. And
Yes.
we are doing that by bringing coaching to the nations. Bringing it
Wow.
to Allah at the end of coaching means to ascend. We're bringing it to the forefront. We're bringing the experts.
Mm.
We're bringing the podcasters. We're bringing those coaches so that they are able to help people who otherwise would not get it. And everybody watches TV. So we're going to provide
Yeah.
you what you need, how you want it.
Yes. And the channel,
Yep.
literally, that they
Yes.
wanted.
Yep.
That's so exciting, Coach
It
Michelle.
is very exciting.
That is
We
so
launched
exciting.
October 15th, and we have been building our team. We've been because I'm a process person. Yeah, I've been building SOPs. I've been creating workbooks. I've been creating handbooks, and again, I am to others
Wow.
what no one was to me. So when
Wow.
content creators, showrunners become a part of our Coachella family, we get them a Coachella playbook that tells them
Wow.
all the stuff that they need to know. So it is more important for me to not just give you a place to do it, but also teach you how to do it
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're an educator, right? You're a teacher.
by
So
heart,
it's
by
part of your
nature.
fulfillment.
Yes,
I mean, it's a fulfillment that translates into a positive impact to those that you serve. Wow.
yes. And
Oh
uh,
wow.
y'all will be
Tell
able to
me.
get this exclusive because it is still unfolding. Uh, we're gonna have Coachella podcast radio.
Oh wow. Podcast radio. I mean, why not? You already have the content.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yes.
Oh my God. You know, I love for my audience, I want you to see the level of creativity that this woman of God has because I mean, I have a show, but I haven't thought about having a podcast radio from it.
Yep.
I mean, so many things that we do that if we just take off those limits, as you said before, Coach Michelle, like what else can it be, right? Nothing that we're, I mean, it doesn't even take new content. It's the same
Nope.
content repurposed.
So
Wow, for
my
my audience,
show,
think
my
about that.
yes, my show is titled "Come Sit Down, Let's Talk." So it's a TV show. It's on YouTube and it's a podcast. And now
Wow,
look, in a few months it's gonna be on the
a
podcast.
radio. Amazing, amazing. Okay, Coach Michelle, you mentioned legacy at some point. You talked about your dad. You talked about your grandson. What does legacy mean to you, Coach Michelle, and the future of your business?
So I have three children by birth. And my three children are all entrepreneurs.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah. What would
yes.
you expect?
Because it's good for you to have a job. And the way I viewed my past job, it was my private investor.
Mm.
And my job allowed me to dictate how I wanted to do business. So I've been
Yes.
able to create it how I wanted to because I always had that side income. So
Yeah.
my oldest son, he's a barber. My
Mm.
middle boy, he's a recording artist.
Mm.
And he wants to start doing events. And my daughter, she's getting ready. She's a nail tech. She does makeup, but she is getting ready to do a catering and hospitality company. Like she
Wow.
wants to be able to assist business owners that when they have events, her company comes in and they are the hospitality. They run the
Mm.
food, they greet the guests, they have everything set up for them. So it is in our blood, and this is how we
Yes.
create generational wealth. Not just go start a business, but this is how we create wealth because
Yes.
God has given us the power to obtain wealth. And that power
Mm.
lies in our gifts.
Yes. I love it.
Every gift we were given, it was given to solve a problem. If you
Yes.
identify the problem you were created to solve, you'll never be broke again.
Amen. Do you hear, audience? If you identify the problem you were created to solve, you will not be broke anymore in the future. Amen.
Yes.
Wow. Because, I mean, really, a business is to solve a problem in the market.
Yep.
So if we have the skills, the knowledge, the experience, you can solve that problem and then get a token of appreciation, as our Pastor Darius would say, right?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. That as you were describing your job as a tool to allow you to grow your business, Coach Mechelle, I remember the book Quitter, which basically talks about the strategy of tandem the business with the full-time job and allow you to reinvest in your business, right?
Yep.
So that's really insightful. Um, so what do you see living for your grandson now and those that who may come later, Coach Mechelle?
I want to die empty. Like I want
Mm,
to have given everything that I have. I put it in shows. I put it in books. I
I
put it
love
in
it.
podcasts. My shirt said wordpreneur. We got that from
Warpreneur.
Dr. D. Like everything, like that's what I sell. I sell
Yes.
words. So
Yes.
everything that I've been able to leave in the earth is my words.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to have to leave my children anything. I want them to already have it. They ain't gonna have to
Oh,
go through the reading of a will because everything I'm gonna give to them, God's willing, I'm gonna give it to them before I go.
wow.
So that they are able to then take it and utilize it. Like I'm teaching them about finances, I'm teaching them about budgeting. They grew up paying tithe from their allowance. They've
Mm.
seen me run business. Like I used to call my children free labor because in all of my businesses, they they helped to run them. Like so they grew up around business. So I've given to them already my legacy.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Wow. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. But yeah, totally. I mean, that's never gonna go away from them.
Nope.
Wow. One very important question for my podcast show, Coach Mechelle. Were you expected to be successful?
To be honest, I was.
Tell us
Um,
about it.
so I'm the 15th child between my parents. My dad had 7 kids when he met my mom. My mom had 7 kids. So I'm either number 15 or I'm number 8, whichever way.
Wow.
Actually, I'm
Do the
either number
sum.
I'm either number 15, number 8, or number 1 because I'm the only child that my mom and dad has together. So I've always, the way I am, I've always operated in a genius level. I've always operated in excellence. I've always been able to do so many things. So I really didn't have a choice but to be successful. I really didn't
Wow.
have a choice because, like, the Lord has, I've always known that there was a call on my life as long as I can remember.
Mm,
The Lord always spoke directly to me. Like,
mm.
it was never where I needed someone to give me a word because I always got my marching orders directly from
Wow.
God. I ministered a message for our at our ministry Sunday. I am a friend of God. Like, I believe that I'm truly a friend of God. We walk together, we talk together. Like, he gives me direct instructions. So I I'm a friend of God. We real
That's
friends. Like,
awesome.
me and God tight like that. So
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. And Coach Mechelle, for my audience, for the women who have been thinking about starting a business but haven't taken steps towards that, but they that pending item, and I love how you say you want to go, you want to die empty. What would you tell these women to consider in the place they are right now?
one of my favorite quotes is by Nelson Mandela. He said, I'm either winning or learning.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So there is no losing. So why not try?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Wow.
not going to lose. If anything, you're going to learn. And sometimes the lesson is you'll learn how
Yes.
not to do it. So
Yes.
try it.
Wow. That is so true. That is so true. Coach Mechelle, I mean, so many things that I would love to ask you. We'll have a follow up because I am so excited about what's going to come with the current businesses and with the expansion of the show and
Yes.
the TV and all the content creators that you're going to enable to get to their audiences, right? I mean, that's another byproduct of this amazing effort. So for my audience, stay tuned because we will have a follow-up. And the last question, Coach Mechelle, how can you summarize your journey as a business owner in one word?
Hmm. Multi-potentialite.
Multi-potentialite. Wow, which is your life.
Yep.
Ah, wow. I I am amazed. I am honored to have heard these stories, Coach Mechelle. And for my audience, take your next step because you have gifts that you have not deployed, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So, Coach Mechelle, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, your energy, your insights. Until next time, for all my audience, more to come with Unexpectedly Successful, the show.